Our first speaker for today is one that I'm very excited to announce. One of the things that we like to do at the Joomla World Conference is learn from other open source communities. We're an open source community and we're constantly doing things, but there are so many other great open source communities out there that we can learn from, learn how they do things, learn how we can do things better from their experience. And we often try to do that, and one of the communities that we've loved learning from is Mozilla. I think we've had a Mozilla representative helping us learn and sharing with us Mozilla's knowledge every year since the Joomla World Conference has started, and we've loved having them every single year. This year we have Priyanka from the Indian Mozilla community, and she's going to start off our day on a session on how we can grow healthy communities. So I hope you'll listen, I hope you'll pay attention, and hopefully we can take this knowledge and take it back to our local and regional communities and grow Joomla as a stronger community. So let's give a warm welcome to Priyanka.
Good morning. Am I audible? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, a little louder morning. I'm sufficiently scared to be here on the stage this morning. So a little louder and a warmer morning would probably make me feel a little better. Good morning. Thank you so much. So today I'm going to talk about building and maintaining a healthy community, giving examples from what I have learned while I have worked with the Mozilla community. So before I begin, I'll talk a little about myself, who I am. So I completed my master's in computer application in 2014, which is like just last year. So maybe I'm way less experienced in both the technical domain as well as the open source contribution domain as compared to most people sitting in this room. So if at any point of time, if you think what I'm talking is not relevant or somewhere not correct, feel free to interrupt me. I would really love to correct my mistakes or learn. Other than that, I work as a technical writer at Red Hat. I guess most people will know of this organization. As a passion, I do a lot of open source evangelism. I work with the Mozilla community mainly. I have been contributing to Mozilla for almost last 4 years. Other than Mozilla, I have also worked a little with Wikipedia. I have done my internship under Wikimedia Foundation. I have worked a little with the Drupal community back in Pune, my local community. I have worked a little on Moodle while trying out GSOC. I have worked with a lot of open source communities, and that's what I do. So when talking about community, the first question is, what is a community? Probably this is a question which I don't have to answer. The right set of audience is right in front of me, right? I didn't know Joomla was a project which was 100% volunteer driven till I kind of stepped into this conference, interacted with people here. So which is awesome. An entire project run only by volunteers, probably the best example of community. This image that we see here, I have picked it up from Joomla magazine. I guess this is from Joomla Day Brazil celebration, which was in early September. So Wikipedia's definition of community is a social unit of any size that share a common value. So in open source community, I think most of us are doing something or contributing somewhere because we share a common value, which is probably the value of that project or the value of that organization. So when I started my Mozilla journey, it was very interesting. So one of my seniors from college kind of invited me over to a Moz Cafe meetup. That's the Mozilla meetup, like the Jug meetups we have. It was on a Sunday evening, and I was like, wait, don't I have anything better to do in life than kind of go to a meetup where all techies are probably supposed to sit and do some techie stuff on a Sunday evening? But well, honestly, I didn't have anything better to do in life that day, so I ended up going there anyway. And it turned out that the moment I entered this cafeteria where these people were kind of meeting, the entire aura inside that place was so different. People were talking so passionately about something for which they were not even getting paid, for which they were not even like getting their salary or anything. And the entire thing changed my thought about the project. And I was like, wait, if they can be so motivated, so passionate about something, probably there's something we should try out. And then I went back from the meetup with so many key points that we discussed. Not most of it I didn't understand, honestly, on the first day. But when I went back, I started doing a little search about the Mozilla project, joined mozilla.org for the first time, and then there was like no stopping. It was like an addiction. That's the power of the community. That's the power of the people. I mean, the one thing that pushed me to join the project was those people sitting there and talking about Mozilla. This is a quote I really love. Technology does not better the world. People do. So as Jonah was explaining yesterday during his keynote session, right? If we remove all the laptops, all the smartphones, all the devices from this room, what we'll have left in this room is probably a set of people with so many creative ideas and so much passion to fulfill those ideas. And that's what makes the project successful. Technology is just a tool. And that's why we say community is the heart of any project, be it open source or non-open source. So when we talk about community, I'll just like to mention what are the most important elements of a community. This is again something Jonah mentioned yesterday, and according to me, this is probably the most important element of any community, the sense of belonging. For a community to be successful, for a project to be successful, participants need to believe in it. We are all who are here in this building or in this room today on a Sunday morning at around 9:45. We are all up, awake, sitting here for some purpose. There's something that's driving us, right? And probably that something is because we feel we belong here. And that, according to me, is the most important element. The second very important element, according to me, is open communication. With an open community and publicly visible and accessible communication channel, anyone can join the community. So someone who is willing to join Joomla, but is not able to connect to another Joomler or able to connect to someone for help, will probably not be able to join the project at the end, and will probably end up losing on that one person or on one contributor, right? So it's very important that our communication channels are open and easily accessible for anyone who wants to be a part of the community. There's another reason why we give very importance to open communication is because in any open source community, the one word we probably hate is bureaucracy, right? We don't want one set of people to take decision on our behalf and just give us the results of those decisions. I mean, just give us those decisions. We want to be a part of the decision-making process. And that's why from the very beginning when a decision is being made or, when a discussion is going on, those communications are supposed to be very open for any open source project. And that's how we like working. That's why we are probably subscribed to so many different mailing lists. We follow so many different channels for seeing what's going on the projects. Another very important tool according to me is, a very important element according to me is the open tools. So anyone with a laptop or a computer and an internet connection should be able to just start contributing. Of course, there's going to be learning, not like I'm going to go back to my room today, I have a laptop, I have an internet connection, and I'm going to submit my first patch request to a Joomla project. That's not going to happen. Of course, there's going to be the learning, but at least if I'm interested to learn, I should be able to start. When we talk so much about communities, the one key person in any community is probably the community manager or the community leaders, whatever we call them. And well, when I think of community managers, they really seem like some ninja to me because they need to have so many different skills to maintain a community. And when I talk about community or my experience of community, is a community as big as the Mozilla community. And when I say big, it's really big at this point of time. In India itself, we have more than 500 active Mozillians. So that's the size of the community or the Mozilla community here in India itself. So think of the responsibilities or the duties the community manager, one person or a group of people will have when trying to lead this big a community. community manager's, if I need to list down a community manager's key responsibilities, probably the first will be to enable people. If we say the most important element of an open source community is a sense of belonging, then this is probably the most important responsibility of a community manager, that everyone who is in that community feels enabled to do what they're trying to do in the community. Trust is everything. When we talk of a community which is as big as more than 500 active volunteers, it's so important that everyone trusts the leader who is either chosen or elected to be the community leader or the community manager, to be able to go up to that person with their problems, with their issues, when they're stuck, when there's conflict. So trust will be very, very important an element here. Again, a very interesting statement, which I personally like a lot. Avoid ego or others will avoid you. The very famous statement, with great power comes great responsibility. A community manager will probably have a lot of power and a lot of responsibilities, which they cannot forget. If those power helps build that big fat ego, it will probably be very dangerous for that person as well as the entire community. Because, of course, we never like to go up to a person whom we to discuss a problem if we are scared that the person in front will just trash us back, right? We will feel comfortable if the person in front is friendly enough to listen to our problem. And that's why this point is so important. So when talking about scaling a community, I think that's one of the key things Joomla community is trying to do right now. Get more contributors in, grow the community, scale the community. A few things that's important for scaling a community. First, building the right tools. By that, I don't mean only the right tools for development, the right tools for designing, the right tools for documentation. Yes, these are of course important, but also the right tools which the community can use for different community purposes, the right tools for communications. Resolving community conflicts. As the community grow, conflicts are something we cannot avoid. I mean, if I tell you that in a community which has more than 500 people, we work peacefully without any conflict, well, I'm lying, right? You'll probably not believe me. Of course we have conflicts. When so many people with so many different ideas, coming from so many different backgrounds, come together in a room trying to do something, we'll probably have a little difference in ideas, a little conflicting situations, different ways of working. That's okay to have. Sometimes that's good to have, because that brings out more creativity, that brings out more ideas on the table. But sometimes it can be a really dangerous thing, creating unnecessary tensions within the community, and need to be really dealt well. Next is multiple communication channels based on need. Again, here I'll give an example of what the Mozilla community globally is doing at this point of time. So we have our normal mailing lists, and we have Discourse. Now, why do we have two different channels? Not everyone likes to read like a long thread of 200 emails. Some people think that if a discussion is taken to Discourse, it's structurally better and cleaner to read. That doesn't mean we just don't, or we just stop using the mailing list. No. We generally initiate any discussion on the mailing list, letting the community come and give their feedback on it. And once we think that the discussion is really growing, we'll kind of pull it off to Discourse. So having multiple communication channel is sometimes necessary based on the requirement of the people and the project. So if I had to list down a community to-do list, this would probably be it. Identify how we can divide our community into teams. So I was just talking to Sarah this morning, and she was explaining me how Open Source Matters is working, and how all the different Joomla teams are working together under this one umbrella head of Open Source Matters, which is like one organization. So dividing the bigger community into smaller teams is important to enable everyone to be able to work. There will be a team of designers, there will be a team of developers, there will be a team of community builders, there will be probably a team of documenters, but all of these teams will ultimately have to work together towards this bigger Joomla project, right? Ensure that teams can communicate clearly and effectively. This is very important, right? We don't want the developers to be developing or building something very different and the documentation team to be completely unaware of what the development team is doing. They need to work hand in hand even if they work in different teams. So they need to communicate with each other very effectively and very efficiently. Define the scope of each team and help team members understand that scope. So, of course, I'm sure Joomla each year probably plans a broader goal. At least for Mozilla, we have Mozilla goals for 2015, and right now we are at a state where we are drafting down the Mozilla goals for 2016. If we have these independent teams working under the bigger project, we need all of these teams to be ultimately working towards fulfilling these broader goals. So even if I say the design team is going to be independent, but Mozilla's biggest goal this 2015 is getting more users for Firefox desktop, then probably the design team will have to work in a way that they design more posters or whatever towards fulfilling this goal of getting more user base of the Firefox desktop in 2015. So all these smaller groups ultimately need to have their scopes clear. Each team member needs to understand the scopes clearly and ultimately work towards the bigger goal. Encourage diversity and opportunity in the community. Now, any global open source project is diverse, right? We have people coming from so many different geographical background, cultural background, technical background, educational background, all working together. Now, it's very important that we encourage those diversity, even in terms like where we say gender equalities, opportunities, etc. Encouraging all of these diversities in every project, or I mean in the community, and giving more opportunity to the community. And produce a code of conduct. This doesn't need to be like a 10-page legal document which every contributor needs to sign. No, we are not talking about that level code of conduct. What we are talking here is a very basic set of rules, which is just good to have and good to follow. Now, when we talk about having a diverse community, there are times when something is culturally fit, maybe in the West, but a little not so fit for Indian culture, right? There can be situations like that. It's just good to have those do's and don'ts somewhere so that each community member can follow them. It just helps reduce those number of conflicts, tensions within the community, which are, of course, unwanted tensions. Now, as I was talking about, the biggest problem of any open community is conflict. A community which is of the size of thousands of volunteers from across the globe, conflicts are something we cannot avoid. Conflicts can create such bad unnecessary tension, causing delay in the timeline of the project, creating members to leave. So Mozilla community, we have often seen that when we have not been able to handle conflicts very well, we have seen contributors just leaving the project. It's an open source community. It's a volunteer-driven community. If someone is just not happy doing what they're doing, the best or the easiest step is to just leave, right? And we don't want that to happen. So how do we resolve conflicts or conflicting situations? A few quick steps could be calm and reassure. That means when there are conflicting situations, first take the step that deal or talk to both parties or both individuals, whatever the scenario is, and reassure them that some step will be taken. People will be listening to them, and someone will try to resolve the community. Resolve the conflict in the community. So that's very important to reassure. Get the facts. It can often be a situation where if you are the community leader or a manager, one of the parties involved in the conflict or one of the individual involved in the conflict is a very dear friend of yours. Does that mean you have to give a very biased decision, or should you give a very biased decision at that place? No, never. Get all the facts on the table. Listen to both parties. Listen to what the problem is. Sometimes things are as basic as both are trying to ultimately do the same thing and say the same thing, but in like different terms, which is creating the conflict. So sometimes just getting the facts on the table resolves the conflict in itself. Discuss. Again, very important. Talk about the problem. No problem can be solved by just avoiding, ignoring, and thinking, okay, with time things will just get better. Let's just ignore and move on to the next thing. No, it never gets better. It'll always just be, it's like we say sweeping the dust under the carpet, right? Sometime or the other we will have to face it. So it's best that we discuss and resolve it as soon as we can. Document. Why is it important to document conflicts and conflict resolution processes? Because similar situations might again come back in future. If similar situations come up, it's easier if we have a documented process for the earlier conflict resolution process, the entire thing. And also, it's kind of proof that the conflict had been there, but it had been taken care of. And reflect of how you have dealt with the problem in the community, what was the problem exactly, and maintain the peace. So coming to working with open source community, again, this is a fact about Mozilla community at present. We have some goods, we have some bads, and we have some uglies. And we have to deal with all of them. We cannot say, oh, this project is so good, it's like everything good, good, good happening in this project. That's like a little too much to expect from any project, right? So there will be some goods, there will be some bads, and there will be some uglies. This is taken from Stormy Peter, who is one of the community leaders in Mozilla, her blog post. So she says that when working in open communities, the goods are, it's open by default, which is good. Like everyone is free to put in their ideas, put in their creativities, and talk to each other and work in a very open manner with all freedom, and it's real diversity. So people from different backgrounds come together, give in so many different inputs and work together. The bad can sometimes be working with partners. Now, what I mean here is, when Mozilla was trying to launch the Firefox OS devices, we had to work with different partners, be it the hardware partners and all of these. These partners might often have their different ways of working, right? Which might not exactly be in line with Mozilla's way of working, which might not always be open. So even if Mozilla tries to share some news with the community, will probably not allow Mozilla to share those news. Certain things might feel very closed. Community might, members of the community or contributors might suddenly feel, okay, something is wrong. Mozilla is trying to hide facts from us, which is not expected from Mozilla or the way Mozilla works. But again, there are certain restrictions bestowed from these partners which we needed to follow. So this can really be bad at times. And coming to the ugly part, not enough time. That's, again, another common thing in any volunteer-driven project, right? We all have our full-time jobs, which is our source of bread, right? So we of course have them as our first priority. We have our families families to give time to. We might have other commitments, and giving time to any open source project might get tricky and difficult at situations. Lack of commitment. So in Mozilla project, we have a lot of students contributing or coming in, joining. And with students, we have seen this ad hoc contribution kind of thing. When they have some free semester, they just come, they take up so many responsibilities on them. They do so much good work, but then suddenly they vanish. Either they cannot commit time anymore, or they lose interest in the project. They find something else more interesting, and they're just out of the project. So of course, there's some lack of commitment, and we cannot exactly do much about it or not have it, because of course they're all volunteers. We cannot just force them to come back or do what they don't want to do, maybe. And meetings, okay. In a global team, having one time zone or one specific time slot where everyone will be able to meet comfortably is probably impossible. At least we have tried a lot, and we could never find one overlapping comfortable time for all time zone. What is comfortable for us here in India will definitely be uncomfortable there in US. It's almost impossible to have one meeting time which we can all feasibly say it's a comfortable meeting time. So talking about all of these community issues, community managers' responsibilities and all, I'd like to share a few of Mozilla's success stories. So as I said, Mozilla has so many different communities. Mozilla has a community presence in almost all countries across the globe now, right? In India itself, we have more than 500 active volunteers. So Mozilla has been able to do a really good job when it comes to community building. And how have we been able to achieve all of these? One of the very interesting project is the Mozilla Representative Program, which we call as the Mozilla Reps program. So who are these Mozilla representatives? They are like the official recognized volunteers who are responsible for onboarding new newer contributors, mentoring them, guiding them. So organizing more events, creating more awareness programs. And how we do it, so we are like the bridge between the volunteers and the Mozilla staffs. So we get input on training from the Mozilla staffs regarding different projects, what's going on in Mozilla, what's going to be Mozilla's goal in 2016. We are like the first set of people who get those information, and then we pass it on accordingly. Of course, all the Mozilla representatives have signed an NDA, which is kind of necessary of how much we can tell the rest of the community, how much is, as we say, tweetable, and how much we just need to keep it to ourselves for the time being till the final decisions are kind of made. So this group of people, as I say, they're like the bridge. So tomorrow, if I have to organize an event here in Bangalore, I can file a budget, even invite speakers from Mozilla, or take more help on resources, etc., and do all of those. So these Mozilla reps are responsible to do those things. Next, we have the Firefox Student Ambassador Program. These Firefox Student Ambassadors are like our ears and eyes and voices on the campuses across the globe. So anytime when Mozilla needs to reach out to students, needs to create more awareness regarding something in the student crowd, or need to get more contribution from the student hub, it's done through these Firefox Student Ambassadors. So to be a Firefox Student Ambassador, the only requirement is you need to be 18 years of old, I mean minimum 18 years of age, and be enrolled to some university. Another very interesting Mozilla project is the Webmaker project. The Webmaker project, as we call it, it's for teaching the web. It's a web tool or a set of tools which Mozilla kind of brought out to teach the web, with the idea that anyone who has access to the web should know how the web works, should know at least the basic components of the web. It doesn't mean that person needs to learn Python, PHPs and everything and build a new website, but at least the basic HTMLs and what builds the web at some level, that part can be taught easily. So using the different Webmaker tools, the entire theme of teaching or creating web literacy has been made very easy. And this is a very successful project. I mean, when we go, we have schools teaching HTMLs. We have even had kitchen table events where we get middle-aged women who are probably not very technical, not using the laptops and computers and their smart devices, who are not on the web yet, getting all of them together, teaching them basics of the web, teaching them things as simple as how to, from a template, how to build a static web page, things like that, things very basic like that. Another Mozilla's very successful project was the Maker Parties. Through the Maker Party, what Mozilla tried to do is build a network which is beyond just the web. What we mean by that, we try to get in people from open knowledge, open science, of course, the web building people or the developers. Then we got people who are working on 3D printing, drone, all of these things, anything that's like open science or comes under open science, open knowledge, Internet of Things, getting all of these people together under one platform and forming that network and creating that symbiosis environment or ecosystem where people can collaboratively help each other and work with each other. And we call these Maker Parties because we have these huge parties across the globe at different times of the year when we kind of work together to build something new. So that was one of Mozilla's very successful project. And that's mostly it about the different Mozilla projects and the ways we work. And that's a little about me. So if you want to communicate, you can either tweet me or drop me an email. And thank you.